these YouTube streets. And today I got a follow on social media, and once I blew up the picture, I saw it was an ex from the 90s. And this particular guy I was so crazy about. Like, oh, he was everything. I would have given anything for him to take me serious. He was an older guy. I caught the bus to his house, and anybody who was from LA would know that Hoover and Century Boulevard is not a good spot for any young girl to be catching the bus to and from late at night to see this guy. He didn't even have a car, but I really, really liked him, and he would in turn see about me. And I would call him, and eventually he just wouldn't answer my calls or anything. And in my adult life, I want to say within the last 3 years, I just kind of wanted to see how he was doing. And I looked at his life and looked at his pictures, and I sent him a request on Facebook. And this man started lying, telling me he plays for the Raiders. Apparently, there's a player for the Raiders that has his first and last name. So he tells me that that's him. And I'm like, oh, yeah, send me some footage. Like, where are you living? He made the mistake of sending me a request from Instagram. And I got to see him, his life, and everything that he was saying was not reflecting Raiders' salary. Okay? And I just want to let you guys know that there was a time where I felt like I just could not breathe without some of my exes. I thought that they were the end all be all. And I couldn't understand why they had cheated on me, why they had had a baby on me, why they had ghosted me. I could not understand it. And you know what? Years later, thanks to social media, you can catch up with whomever you was once in love with and see how they're doing. Even if you don't want to talk to them, even if you don't want to send them a request, even if you don't want to chat with them, you can just kind of see how time has preserved them or how they've preserved themselves. And today I toasted God and I said, Lord, I thank you. I thank you. Let me tell you something. At the time, I was crazy about this guy. I thought he was the finest guy I had ever laid eyes on. And I was just getting used to starting to date guys, okay? Because I was a virgin for a very long time. My mom had me in church heavy. So once I was released to the world a little bit, I was just like, oh, this is the one. And I wanted him to be my end all be all, y'all. But I thank God for experience. I thank God for life. I thank God for separation. I thank God for time, meeting new people, enjoying new experiences with new people. I've met some wonderful gentlemen that have taken me out, that have made sure that I was good, that have put themselves in a position to where they're good and they have love and concern for me to make sure I'm good, where there's never been any competition or jealousy, or I have to not dream big. I'm encouraged to dream big. You know, I've had men to support my endeavors. I've traveled out of the country. I've traveled out of state. I've learned how to ski. I've learned how to ice skate, helicopter rides, all of the above. Instead of being hung up and chasing after this individual and busting his windows out and showing up to his house and insisting on what's not for me. And I want to talk to that person that is really, really broken over that person and they feel like they can't let go. Y'all, I'm telling you, I've had my heart broken so bad. I've had sleepless nights and lonely days. I've had people to be interested in me, but all I can do is compare them to the person that I was in love with. And I was lonely in the room with them, in the room without them, in the club. I didn't want to go to the club. I was turned off. All I could do is think of my ex. All I could do, if I smell cologne, is like, my ex wouldn't wear nothing like that. Clothes, the way, the choice of style, everything, right? And I just compared every single man to my ex. And as I said before, you long for that person who they used to be, who they appeared to you to be. And the longer you stay away and the more you pray, y'all, I'm telling you, time will go on. When they say time heals all wounds, I started to focus on me, go to the gym. I've lost my 80 pounds. I'm finally out of 200s. I'm so excited about that. And, just really, really start focusing on my walk with Christ. And I'm telling you right now, y'all, when you revisit your past, it ain't what you thought it was. I remember going to my old school because my goddaughter started going to my old school, and she was in one of my classes. And when I walked in, the chairs were much smaller than I remembered. The classroom was so much smaller than what I remembered. The smell of the class was still there, but things were so different at the vantage point that I had when I was a youth. You go peek in the bathroom and the toilet is little for little people and it's low for short people. And the sink is low. And it was just enough for the size that you were when you were that age. When I was 6 and 7 and 8 years old, it was perfect for me. But I'm telling you, when I graduated from that school and I began to grow and I began to go to different places and see different things. And when I went away to college, the restrooms were clean. The water ran on its own when you put your hands underneath it, you know. But when I went there, they still had that powder. It looks like laundry detergent that you wash your hands with. The sink was still push start, where you push it down and the water starts to run. The toilets were low to the ground and very small, and the classroom furniture was so small. And all I'm telling you guys is give life a chance. Give God a chance. His ways are so far beyond what we could think, whatever we could even imagine for ourselves. God can dream a bigger dream for us, y'all. Don't you know that if I had have stayed with my ex and things had have worked out, I would be miserable. I'd be held back. I wouldn't have met wonderful people whom I was able to date after him. And no, they weren't they were lessons and blessings. They weren't my forever, but they taught me and they helped me to grow to the person of who I am now. And I just want to let someone know whoever is suffering that heartbreak, I swear to you, there is a better tomorrow. Because that boyfriend of yesterday, his idea of going out was Chili's or Sizzler, and even though there's nothing wrong with Chili's, Sizzlers, or Red Lobster, no. That would be top of the line for him. I could maybe get a Cheesecake Factory out of the deal on my birthday, but when you cast your net and you begin to travel and meet people and go places and do things. I just went out my second date since 2022, you guys. But I just went out with a gentleman who took me to STK. And when that bill came for $400, he was like, and just threw his credit card down. It was not a problem. So naturally, when I received the request on a different platform on my social media, because at first, I saw the gentleman of my past in Facebook, but today he sent me, and I had forgotten all about him, and I think it had been like almost a year and a half or over a year for sure. I had even forgotten about him, but he sent me a request today, and I was able to just kind of peek in and see what he's been doing, what he's been up to. And I'm just going to politely say that we are not a match. I'm not really attracted to him like I once was. Unfortunately for him, but fortunately for me, I have dated better looking men who are far more polished and professional. And the way that I used to look at him, I no longer look at him. That's why when the shoe is on the other foot, y'all, and men tend to get themselves together, and the more money that they have, the more class that they have, the more access they have to a certain caliber of women. And so think Rick Ross, okay? On an average day, I wouldn't go for Rick Ross. I don't really care about how many carats he wears around his neck or fingers. I don't care how big his mansion is. However, there is someone that hang amongst the elites that don't mind him. They don't mind the arrogance. They don't mind the flashiness. They don't mind his appearance. Maybe he has bad hygiene. He's gotten his veneers done. You never know. I hear different stories about bad breath with veneers. But there is somebody who has had their body done. They're considered exotic. And they do not mind being with him, laying with him, kissing him in the mouth, going on trips with him, and doing things with him. And they may not even genuinely like him. She may not even be his happily ever after. But for him to go back to where he grew up and date the girl whom he once had a crush on because she wore Guess jeans and wore her hair slicked back in a ponytail. And she was the baddest chick on the block. And for him to come back to the hood and try to seek her out because he once was so crazy about her that now with all of his accomplishments, he knows he can go back and get her because she really truly cared for him as him and not due to his success or accomplishments, right? And then he goes back to the hood to get her, and she has like 5 kids, 3 baby daddies, and she's on government assistance, and life has not been good to her. She looks tired. She has a a record where she, gotten into some domestic disputes. She joined a gang. She has tattoos on her neck, 2 or 3 different men tattooed on, the names are on her body, and she's just not who he remembered and who he fell in love with and who he saw in the 80s or the 90s. So, I give grace both ways because things happen, life happens, and life could be a blessing or a lesson. And as far as I go, I'm not where I want to be. However, I've been some places and I've seen some things, and my taste in men, my taste in life in general, even the way I decorate, even the way that I eat, my palate has changed. Um, and for me to go back to my past, I just don't believe that there would be a good fit there. You guys, I'm encouraging you. If it don't fit, let it go. Don't force things to happen. Allow God to take you where He wants you to be. Because once He gets done making you and shaking you and shaping you, and you begin to grow, you're going to outgrow what you once knew. And what you once thought was everything will mean less than nothing to you. I remember it was everything for a man to have on a white, crisp, white t-shirt with some brand new, clean K-Swiss, okay? Because I grew up in the 80s. And a nice haircut with some Pierre Cardin or Cool Water Cologne or whatever was in at the time, And that was the style then. And you wanted the freshest guy with the nicest haircut and the cleanest tennis shoes and the cleanest t-shirt. But it's 2025 and we're about to go into 2026. And I can tell you guys right now, I don't want a man with no clean K-Swiss on, with some extra starched Levi's with the creases pressed down the middle and a fresh white t-shirt. I don't want that. Okay? So, again, allow God to come in and don't fight change, you guys. Just go along with it. Because you'll be surprised that, excuse me, the very thing that you're obsessed with today could be the very thing that you don't want tomorrow. Excuse me, let me sip my water. Excuse me. I met this one guy after 30 years. I saw him, and he's so handsome, and he drove an Acura Legend back then, and I see him now, and he's suited and he's booted and he's beautiful, man, driving in a Tesla. But in the 30 years we've been apart, he's told me about him being in and out of jail. He's had a lot of children. And I'm like, absolutely not. Not at my age. At my age, I don't want anybody with a gang of kids, over 5 kids, who has a past. And no offense, I don't usually date men who have been in prison or the feds, because they are forever catching up on life and they're not going to pass opportunity. A lot of times they are not disciplined when it comes to an opportunity presenting itself. They're going to try it out good or bad. And I do mean when it comes to being faithful when it comes to taking shortcuts in life or taking the hookup or saying, you know what, I took our rent money and I flipped it. And I'm just waiting on my homeboy to call me back. Well, you've been in jail. I know how these things work. Uh, you're going to give them all of your money and your account information, your mom, maiden name and everything, and you thinking you're going to be able to go and make a big withdrawal from your account. But I know how things work, and you're the one that's out of touch. And a lot of times they make bad decisions because they want to try to catch up on life. And that's just my experience when it comes to dating men, or it has been my experience when it comes to dating men who have been incarcerated. So I had made the conscious decision that ex-cons are not for me. Anyways, it's nice chatting with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here. Like, comment, and subscribe. And don't lust for the things of yesterday. Don't be like Lot's wife, lusting for Sodom and Gomorrah and get stuck. But look up and look ahead and trust in God and push forward and just keep moving. And He will carry you to the promised land, and He will bless you with greater than what you could ever imagine, y'all. And for those who are in pain, the pain does go away. Sometimes the memories come, but the sting and the hurt that come with those memories, after a while, they get duller and duller, and they don't affect you. And with wisdom and time, y'all, you will laugh and you'll say, thank you, Jesus. Lord, you knew exactly what you were doing. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that didn't work out. And you'll be able to laugh at it. And I'm encouraging you to just hold on to God's unchanging hand. And I will chat with you later. Thank you so much for tuning in. And have a wonderful evening. And thank you for checking in with me.